We Supply America. Thank you for joining us on this special bonus LinkedIn Live coming off the We Supply America tour. You know, I've had the chance, we'll talk about this in just a little bit. I've had the chance to cross this country from sea to shining sea, meeting with distributors over the last 2 summers. And yes, we've been championing the noble cause of distribution. But in addition to that, we've also had the opportunity to have conversations relative to technology adoption and digital transformation and the role that technology needs, must, and will play for distributor sustainability, relevance, profitability going forward. And so I am absolutely thrilled for this bonus LinkedIn Live today, where we're going to be talking about reimagining technology for the SMB distributor, for that small, mid-sized distributor. And it's going to be a fantastic conversation with the president, chief executive officer of Action Associates, Scott Irwin. And we're going to bring Scott in just a little bit. But we've got our 2-minute setup. So you guys come on in. Let me know that you are here. Say hello in the comments so that I know that you're here, where you're coming in from. And we're going to get this C-level conversation about technology adoption in the SMB distributor in exactly 2 minutes. Come on in. Let me know that you're here.
Cool. How are you? Getting ready.
You guys, I am so excited for this conversation. I think it's absolutely a critical, super important conversation about technology and the role that it's going to be playing in our businesses for sustainability, relevance, profitability going forward. And I cannot wait for this. And thank you all for coming in. Let me see here. Philip, thank you for being with us, man, from New York. Love that you are here. Thank you for coming in. Mr. Quinn, my good friend, Portland. Man, I think you're traveling the country more than me, Will. Thanks so much for being here. Jonathan from Minneapolis, you're in the house as well. Good morning, everybody. And Bethany, none of this happens without my partner, my VP of Design, Bethany Hepler, coming at us from Kansas City. Thank you for being here. Rob, my good friend, good to see you in Connecticut. Tell everybody at the Collins Companies I said hello. Man, we're covering the country, you guys. We got Jen from Ohio coming in. You guys keep coming in and let me know that you're here. And Scott and I are absolutely thrilled that you are joining us. So let me set the context for the conversation that we are going to have. You know, most of you know that I am in the process of concluding season 2 of We Supply America, where we've had the opportunity to cross this country from sea to shining sea. And it's really been an amazing 2 summers where I have traveled in the We Supply America RV over 31,000 miles. I've had the opportunity to visit 59 different distributors. And this next bullet to me is the most important, where I've had the opportunity for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of on-the-job interactions, right? I get to meet with the IT department in their workspace. I get to work and meet with the pickers in the warehouse, the drivers in the cab of the trucks, and throughout the entire organization. So hearing those stories are absolutely important, and they inform conversations like I'm going to have today with Scott. 16 documentary films have come out of this, and across the LinkedIn platform over the last 18 months or so, we've had over 1 million engagements. And I love this momentum about championing the noble calling distribution. And distribution, what you do, so critical to our society, being the backbone of our country, is absolutely critical. So today, we have what I believe is a very critical conversation as well. And that is, in fact, reimagining technology for the SMB distributor. And in order to have this conversation, I'm going to bring somebody in. As I say, I am not the technologist, right? I'm going to bring somebody who is the technologist to help us understand that. And to do so, I'd like to bring in Scott Irwin, the president of Action Associates. Scott, good morning, man. Thank you for joining me today.
Dirk, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun getting to know you and planning some events with you, and so I'm excited to be here and have this conversation with you today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, and Scott, look, we're already going to riff, right? We're just saying hello. We're going to go off script. We're going to riff. And to your point, man, I got to tell you something. Meeting the action team, meeting those individuals that make things happen at Action Associates, the action heroes, as I know endure is the word, not endure. Action heroes, right? That you call
them, yes.
In there. They truly are heroes, and I've seen the way they work and their commitment to distribution and their clients, and I've loved meeting your team as well. So thank you for that.
It's mutual. The events that we did, the customer visit was everyone got a lot out of it, and we're happy to be introduced to what you do.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. So, Scott, would you mind introducing yourself and Action Associates to our listeners today?
Yeah. Thanks, Dirk. So my name is Scott Irwin, and I have a little bit of a unique story in the fact that I started at Action Associates as a college intern.
Really?
37 years ago. And it took me 25 years to get operating control of the company. I had to buy out about a half a dozen different partners. And right when I completed that buyout, it was right in the middle of the financial crisis. And
wow.
But I've operated the company for the last 10 to 12 years. And we're a distributor. I mean, we distribute software for software publishers. And so the distribution industry is very close to our heart. It's what we do. And we've been on our own journey to go from $6 or $7 million to 60 or $70 million.
Amazing.
And so I understand what those phases that a distributor has to go through along that journey.
Yeah.
Yes. And but no, we probably have 650, 670 wholesale distribution customers. They run the gamut of companies that are 5 million to companies that are over $1 billion. But I would say we're really focused on that SMB space, that small, medium size. That again, we look at the S portion of that, Dirk, and companies that are 10 to 50 million, and then we look at the M portion, the medium size, are the companies that are 50 to 500.
Yes.
And from an IT perspective, there's differences. There's different needs as those companies go through that size journey, and that's something we can talk more about. But I think in a nutshell, that's Action, and that's our focus.
So, Scott, what is it? Joining Action as an intern, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
right, and then your career path to then actually buying the company. What was it about Action that just absolutely pulled you in and said, not only do I want to make this my career, but we're going to we're going to take ownership of the business. What was it? That's an amazing story.
Yeah, no, I think growing up I was a pretty competitive person,
Okay.
and so I was lucky. I was fortunate. The group of people when I started here, I was 22 years old, and the group of people that own the company just they just enabled me to
Yeah,
grow and learn,
yeah,
and that's why I stayed. It's just they constantly there was always another challenge. I felt like I was learning to be a business person,
yeah.
and I went from sales to technical to support to and got to experience every part of the business, and again at some point there it just clicked that I'm gonna operate this thing, and my day will come when I get to run it, and so that's
What?
it took a while.
Yeah. What a great story. Hearing that competitiveness and seeing what you did with it. Remind me if you ever invite me to play poker with you, I'm going to say no. Okay. I'm
No
not gonna,
problem.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are a distributor. You focus on the small, mid-sized business distributors. You know that We Supply America has brought us together. We're out. Scott, I look at these small, mid-sized distributors who I truly believe keep our society moving forward as the backbone of our country. What
Totally
is it?
agree.
Yeah, what is it that you see about this market that just pulls you and the action heroes into doing the amazing work to help them move forward?
The customers, there's a lot of family owned legacy businesses
Yes.
in there. There's
Yes.
a lot of It's a very popular industry segment for ESOPs.
Yep.
um, and at the higher end of it, there's more and more outside capital, private equity coming into. So those customers run the gamut
Yes.
of and there's in the 50 51 XX space, there's new bursts all the time. There's businesses that are being born, creating a new a new tax ID, and so
Yeah.
it's a growing market. And again, I think they've it's a business that requires great efficiency. I mean, our wholesale
Yes.
distributors are
Yeah.
they're under margin pressure
Yep.
constantly,
Yep.
and they're out there battling, trying to grow their businesses. And they power America. Without those guys, I think the last couple of years we got a real snapshot of
Yes, we
what
did.
happens when our supply chains start to slow down. And so I really think the wholesale distribution industry is one of those backbone industries in our country. And I share your sentiment of how important it is
Yeah.
to our overall economy.
Well, I love it, Scott. And
Yeah.
one of the things talking about having the chance to work with your team and the like, your commitment to your customers, I believe, is unparalleled from what I've seen. Right? That you absolutely put your customers at the center of everything that you do. And that came out loud and clear. Our last stop on the We Supply America tour was out in LA at
Yes.
a great action customer, Maintex, and got to learn their business, see how technology is driving their business forward. But it wasn't about the technology. It was about your commitment, your team's commitment to help them achieve their strategic objectives. And it just came out loud and clear. And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, no, I think like our distributors, we distribute products, but I really believe that it's the value added services that we wrap around those that that's what allows our businesses to grow and be successful. And so again, I think it's again, I'm fairly well aligned with you
Yep.
on leadership, uh, employee engagement, and using technology to innovate. I mean that's really what we're very aligned there. That's what we're trying to do, and if we do that right, we help our customers have successful outcomes. And again, that helps their revenue, it helps their profits, and in the end, if they're successful, we're successful. And
Right.
that's really that's it's as simple as
Is
that.
that. Thank you. So
Yeah.
Scott, let's start drilling down a little bit,
Yeah.
okay, with this background. And you know, um, I know that you're aware that recently we published a new research report that I believe is very important, titled "Future of Distribution: Reimagining Leadership." And in there, Scott, I talk about something that we call the Great Redefinition. And what I see, Scott, is that when you talk about the need for helping your distributor customers drive business outcomes, so there could be an argument that that's getting more challenging day in and day out because this confluence of external forces, internal forces, and what I call people forces. And there's just a menu, as we see on the screen, of forces that are converging on these distributors that we both serve. And it's really driving I believe that they look at their business in new ways. So I'd be interested from your perspective. What do you see as some of these forces that are converging on distributors that are impacting their businesses?
Yeah, I think we've went from 2017, 2018,
Yep.
2019, where we had this emergence of the cloud, and we
Yes.
had distribution was on an even keel. We get hit with the pandemic, and from March of 20 to a 12 to 18-month period, all of our customers were trying to just figure out how to operate through those conditions.
Yeah.
And we start to get to the end of that, and again, I think that everyone's having to face some macroeconomic things that are going on
Yes.
now,
Absolutely.
that with interest rates, inflation, and just really most of our distributors, if you ask them what their number one challenge was, they would say that it's retaining and attracting labor.
You
And
bet.
again, so I think those conditions of going from pandemic to macroeconomics, it puts we have to help our customers be more effective.
Yep.
We efficient driving efficiencies into their operations through the use of technology is. I think that it's never been a time in wholesale distribution where this has not been more important.
100%. So, Scott, would you do me a favor? Get me in the boardroom because I know that at Action, right, you really help your distributor customers think strategically, right?
Yeah.
And so get me in the boardroom when you're in there with that C-suite, right, of one of these small or mid-sized businesses and these macro trends that you talk about, these other forces come together. What's the conversation you have with them in terms of how these things are driving, right, the need for digital transformation and investments in technology?
Yeah. So at that highest level, Dirk, I think we're a big fan of strategic planning, an
Yes.
annualized quarterly process that we do it as a distributor,
Yep.
and we try and promote that within our wholesale customers, and if we can do strategic planning, and it can help us understand what we have to do to technically execute tactically.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives them a platform to take their leadership and get everybody aligned.
Yes.
And then if we can do that, then what we can do is we can focus on just one segment of that is how do we use technology to better enable what we're trying to accomplish. And so that is our, at our relationship with the C level, that's what we're really trying to do. But I think the other thing that's going on in we're in the middle of this cloud migration,
Yes.
and really a lot of clients are out there that have historically run their applications on premise.
Yep.
There is a movement right now to move those applications to the cloud, and then on top of that, coupled with that, there's new cloud-based ERP offerings that take advantage of that new cloud platform.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of modernization inside these wholesale distributors. The modernization rate of their systems has never been higher than it is today.
Thank you. Scott, what is it? You talk about this movement towards the cloud, right? And I think
Yes.
there's a lot of conversation around that out there. Could you just drill down a little bit? Why? What is the imperative strategic reasons for this movement towards the cloud, and how does it help your distributor customers drive those business outcomes that you talked about?
Yeah, no, we look at this, often, Dirk, and I think what at the end of the day, you just take the average wholesale distributor out there. He's been running his ERP software on premise for 25 years, and now he has an opportunity to look at each of these workloads, and he can selectively move each one of those to the cloud. He can
Yes.
move his ERP, he can move his CRM, he can move his e-commerce. And again, our clients are in this journey of moving workloads to the cloud, and what that does is it reduces the compute capacity that they need to manage
Huh.
on premise.
Okay.
And so what you're finding here is it's what we're doing is we're going back in and we're modernizing those infrastructures that get left behind
Yeah.
and getting it ready for a distributor that's running in a hybrid cloud environment.
Yes.
And again, he could be running his applications in 6 different cloud locations. And again, so it's fundamentally changed the infrastructure that the distributor has to have in-house and what he has to manage.
Yeah.
And so managing that infrastructure transition is equally important to managing the software transition.
Yes. Beautiful,
Okay.
Scott. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And Scott, what's going through my mind is as I'm listening to you about, these transitions and the modernization that is happening. I do know that there are different, um, I'll call segments of distributors. Some of the work that we've done with some of the associations, we've developed what I call this spectrum of distributors, 4 categories. There's the lifestyle distributor, there's the late adopters, there's the early adopters, and then there's the progressive and entrepreneurial. And again,
Yeah.
when we say no judgment, right? No judgment on where you might fall as long as it's strategic. And I think what we are seeing is this urgency to move along that spectrum,
Yes.
become that early adopter and that professional entrepreneur, because quite frankly, survival is at stake. And about a year and a half ago, we did this survey, this research on technology acceleration throughout distribution. And Scott, I'd love you to comment on this. One of the things we did is the Boston Consulting Group had made this statement. You see it on the left of your screen. Digital transformation has been discretionary and self-paced. And now, right, in this world that we're in now, that you and I just spoke about, it's become an urgent priority. And 86% of distributors in our research have agreed that we have to be thinking about this digital transformation, this modernization of our platform more so than ever before. So when you see that data, I'd love your input and what goes through your mind when you see that.
Yeah. Again, I view it in 2 lenses. I view it this cloud migration lens, and then I view it in this next generational ERP software lens.
Okay.
And it's both of these things are happening simultaneously. And again, the next generational ERP software, you go back, Dirk, and you look at the systems we've been using the last 25 years. We've been doing transactions in these systems. We put a sales order in, we put a purchase order in, we produce an income statement, we pick, pack, ship.
Yes.
What's happening now is that what we're starting to be able to do is we can analyze the data, we can set parameters, and the data is starting to talk to us, and
Yes.
it's giving us intelligence where before we would have to go search through the data, we'd have to study the report. Now we can set conditions and say, if these conditions are met, please alert us and create a notification that automates that process.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
so it's you talk about getting to another level of efficiency. We
You bet.
finally have this cloud platform tool set that is going to enable us to go to another level. And that me, that's that everybody uses the term digital
Right.
transformation. To us, it's really this business intelligence, this workflow automation that I think that gets us out of the transaction game and gets us into a whole nother level of analytics. And so
Makes so
that
much.
that's what excites us.
Yeah, and that resonates so much with me, Scott. And thank you for that clarity.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking, you mentioned about having to go analyze the reports, right? With
Yes.
the number, and what's
Old
going
school.
through my mind is a story of sitting. I was sitting with about a $50 million distributor several years ago, and they were going through this process. Should we modernize? Should we modernize? And there was such an argument that says, hey, what we're doing works. We can get the insights. We can go get that report from that person and analyze it. And then what sticks in my mind is they said, yeah, but not if she's on vacation, right? Because
Right.
not
Right.
if she's on vacation. But there's this pull. I mean, still there's this pull to say we're selling, we're pick, packing, and shipping. It seems to be working, and there seems to be this pull, um, to put this off, if you will.
Yeah.
What do you all see in terms of what's holding these distributors back from the need to modernize?
I think what we see is we see it in two steps.
Okay.
We see people taking legacy ERP applications and moving those to the cloud.
Yep.
And they're getting out of having on staff IT management, and they're moving their workloads to the cloud. They're reducing what they have to manage on site, and they're getting out of the IT
Got it.
business.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you don't have to start your cloud journey. You don't have to replace your ERP software to start your cloud journey.
Okay.
You know that a lot of people have taken that first step. The second step is where, okay, we're now in the cloud. Let's
Yes.
take our applications to the next level.
Yes.
And again, we see both paths going on. And again, some people do it in one fell jump, Dirk, and go
Yep.
to the cloud with a brand new ERP supplier. Some people do it in two steps.
Okay.
And I think as long as you're progressing, it's either path is all right.
Interesting.
And again, we can one's at a slower pace than the other, but
Yep.
it really comes down to the company's people
Yes.
and how much change, how much transition can they take while still running and operating their distribution
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
And so that's that's a couple of different ways that we see people approaching this.
I love it. Thank you. I can see both of them. So I'm going to bring us one more time back to that C-suite conversation that you have, right?
Yes.
That strategic planning that I know is so important and a core competency of action as you work with your people. So again, now that we're at this stage, right, they're making that decision, right, that we do need to modernize. There's two different paths that we could go down potentially. Again, walk me through that strategic thinking that you think this C-suite must go through at this point.
I think what we see is there's a at the leadership level of these distributors,
Yeah.
there's an aptitude,
Yes.
and it's an IT aptitude,
Okay.
and I think they have to set that vision, and then I think really you've got the leadership inside of those distributors, and you've got the entire workforce,
Yeah.
and we've got to move them. It's an alignment and an
Yes.
education process to fundamentally change the way that those people do their jobs.
Yes.
And it takes leadership, it takes
Vision.
commitment, again, it takes a cadence, a
Yeah.
regular cadence to move this ball down the field, right? And so again, my commentary is I think we're in the people business as much as we are the technology business,
Yeah.
because again, we can't get the end result if we can't transform the way people do their
You
jobs.
bet.
So again, it's as much of a people job as it is a technology
Yeah.
job.
What are you seeing relative to, as this smaller mid-sized business decides, right, and has that aptitude and that ambition right now to modernize their technology platform for all the reasons that you're talking about, Scott? what do you see in terms of the people aspect of it that you're talking about? Does the average SMB distributor right now have the capabilities in house to make this happen? It, is it simply a training aspect? Do we have to rethink our hiring? I'd love your insight on that.
Um, I do believe it's a different skill set.
Okay.
And the best way that I can say this, Dirk, is, instead of having people that manage a server, instead of having people that manage the warehouse, instead of having people that
Yes.
what I'm finding is that there's a need in distribution to convert those IT people to business analysts
Yep.
or application consultants.
Okay.
And they're more working with the business, working with the data, working with the processes than they are, helping with the support desk.
Yes.
And so I see more business acumened people in our IT departments
Yeah.
than I've ever seen before.
Yes.
And again, those are the people that can set up a workflow. Those are the people that understand, the back order and how do we want to alert people when these conditions are met.
Yeah.
It's more of a business analyst than it is an IT an IT person, and
Yes.
that we see that over and over again.
Okay.
And so that's the skill set that we're trying to enable in our customers. And it's pick, some customers have people that can transition to those roles. For some
Yes.
customers,
Right.
they can rely on us to help them do that. And for some customers, they're acquiring that talent and bringing it in house.
Love it. Thank
So,
you.
so that's what we see there.
Thank you. And again, that's why the strategic planning that you talk about is so critically important, because there's not a one size fit all for any of these businesses, and we have to strategically think it through. So Scott, I also understand that at Action, you know, you don't. I hope I say this right. You don't always start with a blank sheet of paper. You've been in this. You've been at this for 37 years. The
Right.
Action heroes are doing this every single day, right, with their
Yes.
clients. And my understanding is that you're able to pull in best practices. You're able to bring roadmaps, if you will,
Yeah.
to help the businesses, right, develop those plans of those next steps, and that cadence that you talked about a little bit. Can you talk to me a little bit about these roadmaps and
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
help that?
Yeah. No, I think if you think about it, we've been doing this for a long time, and our all of our consultants, we have a workforce of 240 people, and what we realized at any one time, currently we have about 120 ERP implementations that are in progress.
Okay. Wow.
So these are customers that are pre-go live, where we're managing their implementation
Yeah.
process. And what we fundamentally had to create was, we created a lean implementation process
Okay.
that basically said, to make this transformation, you need to undergo these 20 sequence steps.
Got it.
And we want every customer to, it's a best practice from getting off legacy to getting to the cloud to getting to next gen. And
Yes.
so that's what we had to create scale to do what we're doing. We had to have a repeatable quality process that we could control this. And again, it helped us, better achieve the outcome that we were by following the strict process.
What's going through my mind, Scott, is there any other way to do it? Right? I mean, my goodness.
No, the answer is no. We tried it and it didn't work. And so it's by necessity.
Yes.
We went to work in creating this lean. And again, this is a trademark process of ours. We created this over years of, hey, this one went really well, this one not so much, what worked best. And again, we created, our lean implementation process. And again, it gives us the best chance to have a quality process that's repeatable.
Boy, I love it. And did you say at any given time 220 businesses at that pre-live?
We right now, I believe the number is, we're at about 140
Okay.
pre-go lives today, right? And so and again, you take the client live, and then there's a lot of continuation. Once you're live, it doesn't mean that everything's done.
Yeah.
It just now you're on the platform, and now we can start going deeper with what we can deliver to the client.
Yeah.
But getting live, I mean, that's their traumatic experience, Dirk.
Right.
That's what the wholesale distributor fears, is going through that process and being a complete disruption to their operation.
Because
And
there are
that's
horror stories out there. There are horrors.
they're in the past,
Yeah.
they're current, and they'll be in the future. And so mitigating that risk is something that we can help the wholesale distributor. Yeah, we can help them navigate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And this lean roadmap that you've developed, Scott, I'm being pulled into it even more. I mean, as an absolute necessity
yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, and Dirk, my guess is we're not the only person doing that.
Yeah.
But for us, we have a trademark process. We know that sequence step number 15 is this. We know that it has to be followed by sequence step 16. And for us, it's just a logical way to approach what we do.
Yeah, beautiful. Makes so much sense. Thank you. For a non-technologist, it makes a ton of sense. So, so thank you for
Very
that.
good.
Yeah. So, Scott, when you look at a distribution business, I'm amazed at the complexity of the business, right? I'm amazed at the complexity. I'm amazed at the different functions of that business that need to talk to each other, that need to work with each other in order, right, to get that part picked, packed, and shipped and delivered on time and paid for, and the money's received, everything,
Right.
and ordered, the supply chain. I mean, truly, the complexity, I think, is I think there's an opportunity to talk about the complexity more going forward. And so as you work with these distributors, are there certain functional areas that distributors are typically drawn to start our modernization initiative, that we should be thinking about these functional areas of the business?
Yeah, those functional areas, are a lot of those are the same. They have a warehouse operation, they have inventory, trying to manage their inventory levels. They've got procurement, they've got sales. I think those fundamental transactions still exist,
Yeah.
but we now have new modernized add-ons.
Yes.
We have in many of our distributors, their biggest sales channel is now e-commerce.
Yeah.
They've got a completely automated Salesforce process where they're completely managing their forecasting and their sales activities. They've got they now have automation to help them pick, pack, ship in their warehouse. It's RF, it's robotics,
Yes.
it's and again, they have pricing science. They have procurement, work batches. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's all went to another level from what we could do 25 years ago.
You bet.
And so it's these advanced capabilities. And again, we haven't really talked about Infor yet, but Infor really has the ability to go into these micro verticals that you were talking
Yes.
about. And they can go that last mile on a lot of specific functionality for a very particular micro vertical that also helps us go deeper. And so again, it's you've got the base things that we did, but you've got all of these future enhancements that are now layered on top of that.
Yeah, fantastic. And let's go to that Infor partnership, because Action is I believe Infor's largest North American value-added reseller partner in the business. So tell me about the partnership that you have with Infor and its importance, please.
Sure. So our relationship with wholesale distribution goes back to the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And we were a reseller for a particular type of wholesale distribution product. Infor came on the scenes in the 90s and 2000s and really acquired a lot of legacy ERP applications. And so at the end of the day, we are today, we have a lot of legacy customers with Infor, A+, Fax, SX. but we're the largest North American distributor of their next generation wholesale distribution product,
Okay.
which is called Cloud Suite Distribution.
Yep.
And so again, it's twofold. We're migrating a lot of legacy customers to get to CSD, and we're also penetrating new markets, selling new customers in some very specific micro verticals that Infor has, last mile functionality.
You bet.
And go ahead.
And so Scott, and I think you alluded to it, but what is it about the Infor platform, the Infor technology that Action has said this is who we are attaching ourselves to, and who Action and Infor together is saying this is the platform that will in fact be that transformative modern platform for that small and mid-sized distributor going forward?
I think their strategy 10 to 15 years ago,
Yeah.
they did something a little unique compared to the other ERP manufacturers, publishers.
Yeah.
What they realized was they had good core functionality in a number of their legacy solutions. And instead of trying to build everything from the first line of code, they picked a couple of their better products. And what they did is they refreshed the UI on these products
Okay.
and gave it a more modernized feel.
Yes.
But what they did is they put their investments in creating a cloud-based platform that they could migrate all their go-forward applications to.
Yeah.
And the way that they did this was, I think, is really a special sauce for Infor. And they use it consistently in their different marketplaces, their
Yeah.
different industries. And but I think most importantly, it allowed us to bring deep-rooted functionality from these previous products. All of that didn't necessarily have to get, every line of that code didn't have to get rewritten.
Right.
And so they did it intelligently, and they brought with them some very valuable capability and just modernized it. And I think at the end of the day, they got to the bullseye quicker, and it was closer to the center. It was than I think their competitors.
Yeah.
And so I give a lot of hats off to their top leadership. Really had a good roadmap a dozen years ago, and it's again in that 50 to 500 million space in between that S and that enterprise.
Yep.
Infor's really competitive with their offerings in that space.
Boy, I love it, Scott. As I'm listening to you about what this Infor platform allows distributors to do, I'm thinking about two of the 59 stops that I've had on the We Supply America tour, and we've had more than two. We've had probably 10, 15, 20 of them have been Infor customers. And
Sure.
I'm thinking of one, the Granite Group, who the CEO talks about his vision of building a dynamic growth engine for his people, right? So it's all about building the infrastructure and allowing for the growth of the organization. I'm thinking about another one, First Supply in Madison, Wisconsin, and Katie Paling talking about strategically looking at the business, not just for the fifth generation, right, which is currently leading the business, but this leadership team is thinking about the sixth and seventh generation of the business. So I'm thinking about those two and listening to you about this platform. And it truly is. I don't know if anything is future proofable, but when I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about those two stories. And the platform truly does allow, right, to get as close to future proof. This is a question, not a statement. All right. Yeah. Getting close to future proofing, right? The ability to modernize this business to be relevant, sustainable, and profitable going forward. Is that a fair thought on my part?
You will hear terms like customer for life, and that is the goal here. We look at this and say we've been through three of these transitions from 80s to 90s to 2000s to the cloud, and one of the things we look at, Dirk, is what's next.
Yes.
10 years out, what's the run going to be after the cloud? Yeah. And it's really, it's an unknown at this time. I mean, it's going to take us 10 years to just take advantage of this new platform.
Yeah.
And who knows what will be after that. but it's exciting times.
It is, without question. Okay, and at the core of all this, Scott, right? None of this works without people, right? We talked about people in the distributor, but none of this works without the people at Action Associates, these action heroes, if you don't
Yes.
mind, right? And so, if you don't mind, Jared was kind enough to send us a clip of a couple of your customers talking. Do you mind if I play that, and then let's talk about the action heroes? Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, absolutely. I would recommend Action to a parent organization. I like the ability to go into the actual system, to be able to track my tickets, to be able to work with the team and get quick response back and forth through your web interface for the ticketing system. I like being able to work in the collaborative system where they're actually working with you and not trying to just tell you this is what you need to do. They're actually going in and saying, hey, this is some of the solutions we have for you. You're not being forced to fit into a certain peg. They're actually working with you to kind of figure out what's going to be best for you and get you in that position, best thing for your company.
I like the resources that the Action, group has. Ever since I came aboard about 4 years ago, I was introduced to the Action team, at the sales level, at the technical level, and pretty much across the board for either existing projects, upcoming projects. So getting a feel for, Action's resource pool across the board. I've always been impressed with basically the bench that Action has. A lot of good people, easy to work with. They understand our business. They take the time to, not pressure and understand what our needs are, and then try and help us where we need to be.
Scott, I really love those two. To me, it really sums up everything we've been talking about, right? Your strategic look at the businesses and help your distributor customers move strategically. And then in the end, this last gentleman talks about really appreciating the action bench, right? These action heroes that make it all happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciate you sharing some of our customer testimonials, Dirk. At the end of the day, that's really, us getting a net promoter score of 9 or 10 and being the trusted advisor of our customers. It's really that's how we measure our performance. And so and as I stated, it's a lot of times this business is more people than technology, and finding the right mix is really critical.
You bet. And I absolutely love how you brand your employees as action heroes, right? Because they're absolutely doing everything that's required to help your customers succeed. And that's heroic.
Yeah, no, Dirk, if you where that really came from is, if you think about it, most of our customers talk about the going live with an ERP as one of the more challenging periods in their career.
Yep.
If you think about it, our people go from go live to go live to go live.
Yeah.
That's what their job is. And so they live in that high stress world of meeting that deadline, getting that customer transitioned, and that's why we call them heroes. And again, trying to have them have a proper work-life balance in that process. That's where the hero term came from.
Boy, I love it. Beautiful. And Scott,
okay.
I love the conversation. Thank you. And how is it if our listeners want to talk to some of these action heroes, right? Learn more about Action and the partnership within Four and how to modernize their business strategically.
Dirk, I think the easiest way to reach us is our homepage is action.com, and that's aktion.com. You can get in there, you can chat with us, you can request a consultation. That's really the way into us. And so if anyone's interested, that's how they can approach us.
Super cool. Scott,
okay.
Scott, thank you so much for this conversation. I've loved it. I've learned so much. I got more to learn, but man, I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
I love your energy, Dirk. You're the best.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. Say hello to the action heroes for me, would you?
You got it.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
There you have it, you guys. What a great conversation, right? Reimagining technology, I think, is absolutely, as Scott said, more critical right now than ever before. These confluence forces, the opportunities, right, that Scott talked about with the emergence of the cloud, and now how it allows us to think deeper and more strategically about the opportunities of being more than just transaction, and to really get into the data and the analysis that's required to think about our businesses moving forward. Just a fantastic conversation. Please do reach out to the Action Heroes at Action Associates. And for now, I appreciate you all joining us. On Thursday, we're going to be premiering our 5th We Supply America film. I cannot wait to introduce you to the team out of Reading, Pennsylvania, C.H. Briggs. But for now, everybody, be well and reach out to the Action Associates Heroes. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us.